Number 30. Skinwalker sighting. A video recorded some frightening things that took place in a deserted, dark room. Looking at it, the space seems distorted, but it isn't. Dark and evil lurks there. A pale figure in the distance towers against the night, but it doesn't stay still for long. It starts moving. Luckily, there are no people around it, so it probably could create chaos. The person filming kept calm, which is impressive, as most would have panicked. This creature is monstrous in appearance, but vaguely almost not human. It's a glimpse that few have witnessed and cannot believe in. For those who are skeptical about such things, this video might change their mind. The figure looks like something straight out of a nightmare, like a gargoyle coming up from the weeds right in front of you. This impossible, otherworldly being is actually real. What do you think it is? Number 29. Old Virginia Pick. An old man in the 1800s filming something in the caves of Virginia was treated to some strange images shot by his film camera. As he focused his camera toward the entrance of the cave, he was shocked to return the stare by a glowing pair of eyes. He ran out of there but went back with some help. This time he returned with some people and was able to retrieve his camera. The footage showed glowing eyes and shadowy figures in the caves, and said that it was a Bigfoot family. Even though it had been a long time before digital manipulation, the video looks quite authentic. Is this possibly one of the real Bigfoot encounters? Number 28. Strange sightings. You've never seen anything like this, so this video will definitely send chills. 4 figures appear here, but something is different about them. They're naked, and their movements seem somehow unnatural. They jump off a fence with ease that no humans would be able to do. Some say they move like frogs, but they're way too huge to be any known animal. The best theory someone can come up with to explain what's going on is that it's a skinwalker. Skinwalkers are a mythical creature based on folklore, describing beings of Native American origin with the ability to take on the shapes of animals or other things. Their unusual behavior and appearance are enough reason to convince many that what was caught on this video must be more than the human world. It must be a skinwalker. What do you think? 27. Eyes. A hiker in the Russian wilderness got lost at night, and while filming the dark forest, he noticed some shining eyes peering at him from the bushes. As the camera panned across, the man's heart skipped a beat by what he saw. Another appeared in the video. The video cuts off, probably the man running off after stopping the camera. Some have guessed it was a big, wild animal. However, the shape looked too human. Was it an optical illusion, an animal, or something else? What do you think lurks in the darkness? Number 26. Haunted Asylum. A group of urban explorers broke into Overbrook Asylum in New Jersey. Notorious for its horrific history, the decaying hallways were eerily silent until they stepped into a room. Suddenly, a piercing shriek was heard, and it came to an abrupt halt as the explorers froze. They directed their camera to the source of the commotion. To their horror, they saw that there was a creature racing forward with speed on 4 legs. Scared, they threw up their hands immediately and put an end to all previous efforts to examine any other. Afraid, frightened, and apprehensive all at once, they ran down the dark corridors, hoping to get away from whatever had been haunting them in the house. Number 25. Grotesque face. A man was walking home at night and chose to cut through a bridge in the forest. As he ascended to the bridge, he felt someone was observing him. He tried to shake off the feeling that had been plaguing him, and he started filming. When he panned down, though, he saw this. A grotesque red face with dark hair that was staring at him. The figure vanished in an instant, and he was startled. Some people believe it could be a witch or a spirit, while others wonder what type of entity it could have been. What do you think you found? Number 24. Something in the trees. In this video, a farmer in India searches at night for lost sheep using a night vision camera, but to his shock, instead of the sheep, he sees something terrifying. You can see there is apparently a dangerous creature in the tree, salivating and ready to pounce as if this is going to be the hour for attacks. The farmer seems terrified and runs off fast. If that footage is real, it makes me wonder, what happened to those lost sheep? Is this really a creature in the tree, or just some slick CGI effect? Let me know in the comments below. Number 23, strange entity. Weird stories surround Mount Shasta. One has to do with a prospector named J.C. Brown in 1904, who is said to have found the underground city of treasure beneath the mountain. He supposedly never returned. Other reports indicate UFO activity and cult-like practices. Most just avoid the area altogether. But a man went to explore the volcanic caves at the base of Mount Shasta and had his life changed by trail cameras that he set up. His health started worsening, so before leaving he set up cameras to monitor the area, and a few days later he got an alert about an unusual movement. It caught on tape something really haunting. But it was just a man in a mask, or what could be worse? What's actually happening here? Number 22, train tunnel. One woman visited an abandoned tunnel in Germany, said to be haunted. She ventured deeper into the tunnel and, in the distance, saw an arm above the ground moving around with a torso visible. She ran out, but the video she had filmed created more questions than answers. The body is incomplete, and the arm looks alive. It resembles what we call a skinwalker or rake. The footage was so disturbing that people wondered what could explain this kind of strange sight. Number 21, chasing cryptid. Riding on the road in a car must surely make anyone feel safe, but in this video, it's one that tries to prove otherwise. A group of friends who went out and were returning home after a night out started filming in their usual course, but suddenly this happened. A humanoid figure emerges from the darkness, running towards their automobile. Upon seeing him, the friends panicked, trying to outrun the guy. Curiosity led them to backpedal, but it was a mistake. The figure steps closer, almost touching them. They speed away in fright, unsure if it was just a prank or something more hazardous. What do you think it was? What kind of creature could it be? Number 20, something chilling. In that room, there were a few people sitting around a table, flickering light casting their shadows. What they were doing was unclear. Their actions were mysterious. Without any notice, all of them shifted to the camera simultaneously and turned their gazes towards the lens. The silent observer with the camera unexpectedly now became the attention of the ones they were observing. The air was thick with tension, as if one looked into the camera at a time. The recorder was uncomfortable and felt uneasy. It was unnerving, as if they both communicated to the camera without having one word spoken. The room filled with uneasiness. What at first seemed to be an everyday, vague activity took on an ominous undertone. The recorder cannot help but feel that there's something wrong in the air, and still there is more questioning as it sends off a foreboding feeling long after the scene has been over. 19. Ghost. In an abandoned building, a cameraman hears some strange noises, which included shattered glass. He investigates but sees nothing. As night falls, something throws tear sheets from the upper floor, and a white-haired brigand briefly appears. Later, some footsteps resound below, and there's an ominous shadow up the stairs. The cameraman finally catches a glimpse of a man in white pants, holding a flashlight, but his presence is even more terrifying than the ghostly figure. A ghost may be scary, but a stranger in the dark of a building would be scarier. Number 18, humanoid cryptid. The footage starts off very quiet, and one almost feels that eerie foreboding of doom. Suddenly, some sort of strange creature, which is half humanoid, comes into frame. Its face is abhorrent, and when it sees the camera, it opens its eyes in terror. Then it lets out some blood-curdling scream so loudly that even in the darkness, one can feel the chills. Shocking the viewers, they could hardly believe what they were actually seeing. It was something unnatural about the way the creature moved, and a few frames almost in pain, and the reaction it shows at the camera only adds to the horror. The raw video captures fear while dealing with something unknown, and the bizarre response from the creature to it being filmed is something both eerie and terrifying. The video pulls you into a world that feels wrong. Things are too strange to be real. It's an unforgettable and spine-chilling moment that leaves you questioning what you've just witnessed. Number 17, April Fool. In Sitka, Alaska, the most extreme foolery ever done was reported in April of 1974. It was an all-out emergency response. The residents saw thick smoke coming out of Mount Edgecumbe, an extinct volcano, and panicked about an eruption. Police and firefighters, as well as helicopters, responded to assess the danger, but when they reached the mountain, they found no volcanic eruption. In fact, they see a spray-painted April Fool's greeting them at the edge of the crater, where the smoke comes from burning tires that were piled up there by a prankster. This 50-year-old man had planned the joke so well that it actually succeeded in fooling everyone, and people wasted precious time and even resources. Though expensive, the hoax went into the annals of history as one of the bravest April Fools ever made. 16. Creepy entity. In this weird video, a man goes out wandering at night, listening only to the river and light from the camera or flashlight. Initially, everything seems normal. However, as he pans around, the camera catches a peculiar figure sitting on the riverbank. This figure appears to be a male, but he is quite weird. He sits there in the darkness without an apparent source of light for him. What is he doing there? He's not bothered by the camera, but he turns around slightly to acknowledge it with no reaction. However, on a closer inspection, something seems to be wrong. He is naked, and the skin that he has is an ashen death color, burned or decayed. Under his eyes, there's some reflective sheen, and something does not seem right with his face. The cameraman approaches, but the figure slowly slips into the water and disappears. Who or what was that? It looks nothing like a person that was living at all. Perhaps it was something from the underworld or even a corpse trapped between life and death. It made me feel uncomfortable, and I'm sure it left you to wonder if the figure could have attacked. What do you think this thing was? Any guesses? Number 15. Paranormal. YouTuber Benny Loco explores abandoned house in the desert. Most seem deserted until she goes inside. She looks to the right and there's nothing there, but across the room, under some drapes, is a dark silhouette. Initially, it might be an animal as she mistakes the ears for that of a bunny, but it's a hooded figure looking out at her behind thinned-out cloth. All the windows seem to have been covered, so it could have been a cardboard. However, after something in the room moves and then disappears, it seems like a case of paranormal activity. Number 14. Ghostly presence. In the dark forest, he roams only with a light to guide him. As he moves silently through the woods carefully, he creates tension. And then emerges in the light of the flashlight an enormous creature with a magnitude that cannot be comprehended. The view is horrifying, and the man's fear as he filmed the feared figure that people have been whispering about is tangible. A creature in darkness silently watches as it hides between trees. You can even see the breath of the man in the frosty air. He's straight up afraid as this creature approaches in the faint glow of light. It's an eerie kind of scene, which makes you think about the reality of things. The creature was huddled in the shadows of the forest, and it took them by complete shock. The video seems to have such a tense and foreboding impression that you can wonder what the creature might have actually been. The memory of the enigmatic encounter stays with you even after the video goes off. The fear from the dark woods depth. Number 13. Pedro Nascimento. In 2018, vlogger Pedro Nascimento documented his hike up China's notorious Mount Hua, also known as Hen Mountain. Rumors about more than 100 climbers reportedly dying there every year. Mount Hua is infamous for having a plank walk clinging onto a cliff, but otherwise it has little safety for this kind of daredevil hiker. Pedro holds onto a rusty chain for dear life as he walks on a flimsy wooden plank 7,070 feet below him. The section is so well trodden that climbers often wait in line for 3 hours to make the hike. Some tourists even unhook their safety harnesses to get better photos. Would you ever like to do this here? Number 12. Is that Bigfoot? Deep inside an ancient jungle, hidden under tall trees, a camera silently recorded something weird that would make almost anyone who saw it shiver. With its night vision on, a moving figure was lurking behind the trees and shrubs, gliding through darkness with a strange and otherworldly ease that has left many amazed as well as confused. As it played, guesswork began among people as to what it could be. It might just be a legendary creature moving in the thick jungle. It was Bigfoot. The film footage had only become more mysterious. The entire jungle was dark. Now it was a place of fear and uncertainty. One sound, the rustling of leaves and the moving of shadows, made it more confusing to think what exactly the figure was. The jungle, full of ancient secrets, whispers through the night, leaves anyone who watches the footage with a sense of dread. It reminds you that sometimes mysteries may never be solved. Number 11. Truck. A driver in Mexico has a strange encounter at a truck stop. He notices a small figure appearing to be a little girl peering out from behind his truck. As he proceeds toward her, the figure disappears. No matter how hard he strives to know, he can't find her. This is the end of the video without any explanation. The driver was left with curiosity as to whether it was just some luminosity trick or someone very ominously lurking in the dark. Number 10. Mysterious figure. They were all friends who hiked but recorded their experience. They did not see anything amiss when they trekked, but were shocked and surprised by a figure standing behind them next to a tree when they played the tape. No one saw it while they were hiking, and thus they wondered who or what was captured. What do you think they captured? Number 9. Harhacha. One night, out in the streets of Peru, Alicia hears shrieking outside her place. She goes out with a camera and takes some horrible pictures. At the corner of a dirty alley, she just so happens to see a shadowy figure. The creature was doing animal-like growling and accompanied by scream-like cries. The locals think it might just be a harhacha, a folklore known to be cursed. The footage has created so much unrest in the minds of people as to whether the creature existed or not. Number 8. Girl. This photo was taken by an unknown man. In the photo, a young girl looks back at the camera, probably hiding behind one of the trees. It can just be a playful picture about playing hide-and-seek with someone. However, the author of the image is sure that the girl is a ghost, whose spirit cannot get peace since she died in the forest several years ago. It was posted by an uploader who believes the photograph was taken when the girl was still alive, but the uploader is of the opinion that it is a ghost. Could this indeed be true? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Number 7. Predator. A mystifying video shot from Flores Island depicts a strange creature with an archaic body structure and an eerie, almost predator-like head. The features of the figure in question are alien and terrifying, and nothing like seen before. But to make matters worse, the head of the creature seems more like a long-haired woman human. What exactly do you think it is? 6. Late night walk. The man was out strolling at night when, about 10 minutes into the walk, he suddenly hears eerie screams coming from under the bridge near him. Curiosity overtook him and he drew out his camera and began walking towards the commotion without knowing anything about the danger he was approaching. As he drew near the dark mass under the bridge, screams were now louder and coming from his right. He looked and saw a skinwalker, which was horrifying in its twisted and unnatural shape. He let his instincts take him over and he ran away as fast as he could from the creature waiting in the shadows. Number 5. Inside cave. A hiker and his dog went inside this newly discovered cave in the forest. In Australia, the cave felt eerie and dark. He was exploring and filming as he went deeper into it. He was looking down a side passage as he saw a tall figure standing still in the darkness. But he ran out of the cave with his dog, and the video cuts off. And as it does, we're left with no answers. Some things should just remain unexplored. Number 4. Unexplained phenomenon. This shocking footage is enough to give you sleepless nights. 2 men are walking on a quiet street when one of them suddenly falls down. His fellow rushes to his side to help him, but just as he approaches, something absolutely bizarre happens. The shadowy, indistinct figure seems to rise from the collapsed man's body and lunges aggressively towards his friend. The figure seems to materialize out of thin air, moving with a velocity that borders on unhuman. The shadowy form disappears as suddenly as it came, and it leaves no trace of its presence before the friend can react. It's as if some unknown force briefly stepped into our world, with only bewilderment and fear to show for it. The whole scene plays out in only a few seconds, and yet it's still enough to leave anyone who witnessed it shaking one's head. wondering what just hit them and whether they saw something other than ordinary. Number 3. Black-armed figure. Kazi, his friends Danny and Allie, and several others had a pretty spine-tingling experience in one of those haunted forests outside of Ottawa, where there are rumors that some man with a shotgun goes around. The cabin was actually abandoned, but had strange symbols and some weird stuff inside. After having the ritual, they began to hear some pretty unsettling noises. As they tried to leave, they saw a guy watching them through the bushes, and then chasing them. Was it a local or something darker? Kazi and his friends still do not know. Number 2. Ghostly witch. A Saudi Arabian police officer was patrolling at night when he saw something he would never forget. He noticed a figure with long black hair hanging down, dressing in white clothes. It appeared to be human, but it just felt wrong. Some believe it's a witch, while others said it was a skinwalker. The figure was moving towards him, and the fear was so strong that he could barely breathe. He took off running as fast as his legs could carry, but to his horror, the figure began chasing him, closing in by foot with every step he took. He was now a part of an encounter that would prove impossible to explain. Number 1. Corpse. On the 16th of April of 2017, YouTuber Lewis Clark and his friends ventured into a deserted train deep in the forest. At first, it was a thrilling experience, but suddenly the fun turned into something terrible when one of their friends sees this terrible thing. It's the blood-stained, cloth-covered body in one of the compartments of the train. They panicked and they wanted to leave the place and call for the police. The video hit the internet with many finding it unnatural. Lewis has confessed it is not fiction. Was it a real body or was it staged for views? What do you think? Tell us in the comments. And if you want more chills, the next video is just waiting for you.